Let's go.
I would say it's extremely, exciting. This is one of the reasons why you come to the University of Arkansas is, to play on ABC, play in the big games.
Can you move the football versus this Tennessee defense? Yesterday, we did a breakdown of the Volunteers offense, and while they are good, the Volunteers defense has really been the story, right? If I were to give out the Broyles Award, named after the legendary Arkansas coach, to the nation's best assistant up to this point in the season, it would probably go to Tim Banks, the defensive coordinator for the Vols. So honestly, my favorite player to watch on this Volunteers defense is number 55, Norman Lott, the defensive tackle, is an absolute menace. Okay, now this is a very difficult block for this offensive guard to make, but the first thing I want you to see is Norman Lott's get off is really freaking good. Okay, now did he get a little lucky guessing the snap count? Maybe, but what I think he did was he saw this motion come across and he's like, okay, it's across now. They're going to be snapping it at some point. And look at that. That is absolutely ridiculous get off. He is getting off faster. Pause.
Our relationship that got too comfortable at this point.
That's never a good thing, but in this case, it's good here. Look at that. I mean, my goodness gracious. That is absolutely gross defensive tackle play, and he just totally disrupts this. Now, here's the issue if you're an Arkansas fan. He's not a starter, right? He's probably the DT4 in the rotation, right? 10, 20, 21, all really freaking good players. And here's another downside is James Pearce, their best defensive end, isn't even on the field for their biggest defensive play of the season. He's not really gotten going yet this year, and you'll see that they bring some edge pressure, overthrow right here. This was open, the vertical. It's obviously very difficult. You just want to hit this slip, and it's a pick six going the other way. So this Tennessee defense, as you can tell, has been opportunistic, and obviously Taylen Green has been prone to many mistakes, including pick sixes. Alrighty, so we did this for our Tennessee offense versus Arkansas defense film study. Let's do it again here. You are Michael Hawkins, and what I want you to do on this double A gap mug look is tell me who you think is blitzing. All right, who is coming, who is going, right? Because we all know some players back out, some guys blitz. So who do you think is coming? All right. So as a young quarterback, it just depends on how your offense operates. Is he the one that sets the protection? Is it the center that sets the protection? Sometimes it's the running back barking out orders. But the truth is, you've got to be able to set your protections correctly. And as a lot of Arkansas fans will tell you, they have been terrible at this the last couple of years under Sam Pittman. Now, it's gotten a little bit better this year, but last year was just as bad as it gets, okay? Now, what the rules normally say is in any protection scheme, you want to block from inside out, right? So the A gaps right here are more important than the B gaps and so on and so on. So the one thing we never want is interior pressure up here unless it is, a rare circumstance where it's a third level really delayed pressure, okay? So let's go on ahead and run it. And as you can see, it's really hard to see who's actually blitzing and who's not, okay? So what actually happens here is they bring the nickel. This has been very popularized, and this is most notably done by Steve Spagnuolo in the Super Bowl last year versus the 49ers, okay? So teams will show a double A gap look and give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys to go up against 6-ish protectors because the tight end does go out. And what they actually end up doing is they bring the 7th guy in late, right? And normally this pressure is from the outside and the end goes inside. But this time they bring the nickel corner all the way here and they're bringing him through here, okay? Now, this is where it gets a little tricky if you're Michael Hawkins. They actually have a little wrinkle to this on top of this, right? At first, the linebacker looks as if he's going to blitz pre-snap through here, but what does he do? Well, he fakes like he's backing out, okay? It looks like he's backing out, and then he still decides to come on the blitz, okay? So it adds an extra layer and a little bit of extra nuance to this pressure, okay? Now, watch what happens here. The worst thing happens. Here's our guy, Norman Lott, who we talked about. Not even a starter on this Tennessee defense. You're letting an athletic defensive tackle come right through the A-gap untouched, all right? This is nothing. There's absolutely nothing you could do as a quarterback with unblocked A-gap pressure. There really isn't. There's also nothing you could do when, even if you don't block the interiors, James Pearce still beats the hell out of the offensive tackle, which he does here. It wasn't even much of a rip move. He's beaten, okay? Then the guy off the edge, even though the offensive tackle fans out, is beaten, okay? So, as you can see, this is all very complicated stuff, all right? Now, how would I have protected this? Well, there's different ways. One big mistake here is a running back and the guard both guard the B gap, and neither one guards the A gap. And the center, pre-snap, made the determination and the call that he's going to go and slide to the right, Cupid Shuffle style, okay, instead of sliding to the left. So basically, Oklahoma blocked this about as bad as you could have blocked it. You have guys getting beat one-on-one here to the outside, and you have a huge miscommunication here. This is just atrocious protection. And obviously, one thing I would say, if you're Taylen Green, once again, we don't want to play the rollout game. Rolling out to the right is hardly ever a profitable decision, Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. You just want to eat the sack. The play is over, essentially. You're just losing extra yardage to add to the dismay. Now, this is where it gets even more complex, is that even though this assignment was completely botched and communicated from Oklahoma, this is what I was talking about on the Tuesday night live stream, or excuse me, the Monday night and the Tuesday night live stream for this week. Your quarterback could still bail you out, right? Because one thing Tennessee does not account for is the tight end coming out of the backfield, all right? Or just off the line of scrimmage. And you'll see Hawkins is even looking at him, right? If there is a blitz and you think it's actually coming, and it is actually coming, hit your hot, hit your check down. Bang. This is a huge gainer. So even though the protection screwed up, the quarterback got off of this way too quick, and this still could have been bailed out despite atrocious offensive line play.
They were held to 98 yards, Oklahoma was, through 3 quarters.
So let's talk about pressure, blitzing, and all of those things mixed into one. And over the next couple of minutes, we're going to talk about hitting the intermediate middle stuff, right? Tennessee's going to watch Taylen Green, and they're going to force him to throw in the intermediate middle because he's just not proven he could do that just yet, Taylen Green even said in the postgame press conference that this ball should have still been able to get thrown. Now, is it true that Arkansas's offensive line here on a basic little protection scheme right here, it's just straight man-to-man, You just got to block your man. Is it true that Arkansas gets beat by a player worse than James Pearce here? Yeah, it is true. There is a lot of pressure, and this isn't the cleanest job right here from former Tennessee center Addison Nichols, but guess what? Intermediate middle is wide open. You throw this quicker, or you do what you're supposed to do, which is back up to allow some extra time for the shallow drag to clear. If you hit this, the game is over. All right, it's 21-0. It's blouses. Instead, it's a pick six. And Tennessee loves havoc. They love turnovers, and they're just going to feast on that. So what do you have to do to beat Tennessee? Well, for one, you can't just do the rollout game if you're Taylen Green. So this is Michael Hawkins. All right, he and Taylen Green are very similar. They are elite dual threat weapons, but as throwers, they are not developed yet. The difference is Taylen Green is a year 4 quarterback, and this is a true freshman, So let's actually go back to the snap here. Once again, here's James Pearce. This is as good as it gets when it comes to a pass rusher that you will ever face in the SEC. Right tackle gets beat. This is a nasty, nasty bit of nuance from the pass rusher, James Pearce. You can see he's setting up this tackle with the move, and watch him swipe with this right arm to bend that edge. You see that? Bang, and now he's got him beat. That's just gross. I mean, that's as good as you're going to see it. All right. Now, what happens here? Well, you'll see on the back end, Tennessee is an exotic defense. They are completely static here. There's nothing crazy happening right here. It's just a simple zone coverage assignment. And what do you have to do to beat zone? You got to throw in the windows, okay? So this is a freshman quarterback throwing with some anticipation through the window with a guy pressured right in his face. And Taylen Green's going to have to complete some of those things, even though that's not necessarily his game, the intermediate middle. All right, one thing you'll see Arkansas do a lot of in this game is pre-snap motion, okay? I think Bobby Petrino is top 5 in pre-snap motion usage. As you guys know, Arkansas's offensive line and the quarterback, Taylen Green, he's a factor in this as well. Really high pressure rate given up. And, man, once again, these Tennessee pass rushers, this is just nasty stuff. And this is actually some good quarterbacking for a change from Jackson Arnold. He makes a full field read, finds the intermediate middle with the guy right in his face, okay? You've got to be able to make these throws to help out your offensive line and take what the Tennessee defense is going to give you, okay? Good stuff right there. All right, one other thing you have to do is get the zone read game going with Taylen Green, right? Use the speed to your advantage, all right? Jackson Arnold is a worse QB than Taylen Green, and this running back right here, Barnes, cannot sniff what Jaquindon Jackson has been able to do. Now, Oklahoma gets the absolute best look at this with the pre-snap motion, okay? There's no in for Jackson Arnold to really read right here. So this is an easy handoff the entire way. And they also get lucky that the interior backer right here is blitzing to the inside. So that's an easy handoff read. If they're going to give you that, take advantage of it. You're probably not going to get a look as clean as that. But what you need to do is get good blocks down the field, okay? Now, you'll see here that 10 actually got ragdolled, and Arkansas's blocking down the field has been questionable at best. All right, this Tennessee secondary was the unit that everyone circled as the weakness of this team. They've yet to really be challenged by any rational offense. Now, one final thing, and this is just a minor note, 9 is a kill shot artist. He can absolutely knock your socks off. He had a huge hit in the Kent State game, and this guy not only hits, but he hits you clean. Now, this actually is some really good film study from Oklahoma, because I'm going to give you one play from an Arkansas perspective they should definitely run versus the Vols, okay? And Tennessee fans, Taylen Green is probably the best quarterback that you've played up to this point, but he is a very flawed thrower who has a tendency to roll out to the right on plays where he's supposed to stay in the pocket. So what do you do to help with that? Well, one way you can fix that is have design rollouts to the right. Now, this is aided by the fact that James Pearce decides to cut to the inside and lose contain versus his tight end. Okay, this is actually a really good piece of work from 10, who had a really good game, to have a wide split here, because you want Pearce to go to the inside so you can have an easier rollout here. All right, now this play works versus Tennessee. All right, now I'm going to show you why in just a second. These are the throws that Taylen Green have been the most comfortable with. Roll out to the right, Andrew Armstrong on the comeback, right? That has been his bread and butter, even on plays that aren't design rollouts, okay? All right, so this variation is at a pistol, and there's really no play action fake at all. But I love these plays that involve the running back off of play action just running directly into the flat, and there's some kind of fake involved with it, whether it's a play action or you start off looking to the left, and then you roll out to the right side. This is profitable versus Tennessee. I've seen different teams actually run this versus them, and watch what happens. Bang. Easy space. You can see the defense, the coaches aren't really happy about Cody Schrader, one of the best players in the SEC last year, being that wide open, and you could see he's still running all the way deep into Tennessee territory. But I'm not sure if I've actually seen anyone actually try to run this action versus Tennessee. So once again, this is pretty much the same play, but a different variation. And what's very strange about this is the one guy that you must guard, the vertical, is left untouched, right? You have a vertical occupying this safety. Corner lets that vertical go, and rarely do you throw this vertical, okay? It's wide open. Brady Cook pulls a Brady Cook. He even had this guy open over the middle. that guy's kind of good, Luther Burden. And guess what? The vertical is just sitting there chilling, right? And it's an underthrow. If it was any type of decent throw, he is walking into the end zone. It ends up being a spectacular catch.
You have to be an elite competitor every single day. You got to prepare the right way.
So, does Arkansas have an outside shot of pulling this off? Well, like we mentioned, the zone read game's got to be good. Taylen Green, I think, had some really bad pull reads versus A&M. So that's one way of beating them, which is stretching them out, right? That's why that little rollout play I think works out. Get some split zone action mixed in there. Getting them going from left to right is one thing to help out an offensive line that, quite frankly, is overmatched, right? Tennessee's defensive line is just so much better than Arkansas's offensive line. And this is a text from someone that I really do trust their opinions on line play. You know, so much was made about A&M and all the 5 stars and how they whipped Arkansas up front. Well, Tennessee's defensive line, I do believe this year is better, and not only are they better, they're deeper, right? They really do rotate a lot of bodies in, and they are very good, okay? So, how do you defeat this? Well, Taylen Green's going to have to make a few of these spectacular plays, right? He had one versus Auburn. He had one versus Texas A&M. These explosives are always good, right? Well, true, but on top of that, great quarterbacks, the ones that actually do win games, the Jaden Daniels, the Drew Brees, those guys, it's not really their spectacular plays that win them games. It's the down-to-down consistency, and Taylen Green just has not shown that. That's why I showed you a bunch of the 7- and 8-yard intermediate middle throws versus this Tennessee defense. So, I was very critical of Taylen Green before. It was cool to be critical of Taylen Green in my initial UAPB film study, where he did look like the second coming of Vince Young, right? And a lot of it was pocket presence. This right here was really good pocket presence, stepping up into the pocket instead of just rolling out every time like he did versus Texas A&M, stepping through and finding your number one option. And if you're a Tennessee fan watching this, the guy you got to look out for is number 2, Andrew Armstrong. But 6 has been a good receiver in Isaiah Satania. 4, Tesla. Basically, the single-digit guys are Arkansas's big weapons. And if you're a Tennessee fan and you don't know who Jaquinda Jackson is, well, this could be a matchup of the 2 best running backs in the SEC right now, with Dylan Sampson, of course, number 6 for Tennessee, and Jaquinda Jackson, number 22. Now, understand, I still think Taylen Green should roll out some of the time outside of the pocket like he did to this bomb, but still, you want to mostly stay in, if not step through the middle of a pocket. Like, he could have done that here, okay, but I don't mind the occasional rollout, dipsy doodle, make a big play down the field. Okay. Now let's give you the Tennessee skepticism, right? Because based on what you guys have heard up to this point, you're going to probably think that I am picking the Tennessee defense to just dominate this Arkansas offense. Well, that's not necessarily true, okay, for 3 specific reasons. The first is this Tennessee defense has had by far the softest offensive schedule to start the year. Now, it was impossible to think that Oklahoma was just going to completely forget how to play football until they made the quarterback change, but it's just the truth, right? NC State's offenses looked absolutely ass. Kent State and Chattanooga's offenses basically the same thing. So, as crazy as this sounds, if you're an Arkansas fan watching this, you are by far the best offense that they have faced up to this point. So, look, if you're Tennessee, you better be ready because Arkansas can do some things offensively. And this is by far the best play caller that Tennessee has played up to this point. Bobby Petrino, as many of you know, has schemed up quite a few victories for Arkansas during his career in games that Arkansas had no business winning. So Bobby does have it in him to pull out a masterpiece if Taylen could play just a little bit more consistent. Now, once again, that's asking a lot. One thing that can help out Bobby, obviously, is can he scheme up the run game? Because Arkansas just could not run the football on Texas A&M last week. Okay? Now, let's get to the Tim Banks issue. All right? And Tennessee fans, this is what scares you at night, all right? Tim Banks has not been challenged yet at all. We've already discussed that. But we get into two historical trends that we've seen since he's been there at Tennessee. The first is his defenses do not travel. Okay, once again, they were really freaking good versus Oklahoma, but like we stated, the quarterback situation was not properly sorted out just yet. So that obviously played an absolutely huge role. And I'm talking about true road games, not neutral siders, which was the NC State game where, let's be honest, Tennessee has actual fans and the Wolfpack is not necessarily a Wolfpack of fans, if you get what I'm saying. So Tennessee, according to many, had as many fans there in Charlotte as the Wolfpack. True road games, though, are a different story. Yes, if you look at Tim Banks' history, you do see a 13-point performance versus Jaden Daniels in 2022, but that was the third game of the season, and that wasn't Max Jaden Daniels. Since then, pretty much every road performance has been tough. It just has been, okay? And then we get to the big one, all right? And some of those were okay, right? But as a Tennessee fan, you get what I'm saying. Tim Banks every year is due for one stupendously bad stinker of a game from his defense. Like, so bad where the opposing offense looks like Hercules, right? So a lot of you know in 2022, the South Carolina game happened. We can get into a few other things that was said around that time about why South Carolina played too well. But the bottom line is a South Carolina offense, which was okay, put up a 63 burger on you, okay? Didn't help that Tennessee's Mike linebacker decided to be selfish and quit on the team, basically. But the bottom line is you gave up 63 points in a must-have, basically de facto playoff game. Then last year, of course, I understand that Missouri offense was great, but they roasted you. They absolutely positively roasted you. And you also had a weird game versus a Kentucky offense that really wasn't that great. So you guys know Tennessee will give you a stinker every single year under Tim Banks. That makes absolutely no sense. Now, do I think that's going to happen here? Probably not, because he does have an extra week to prepare, and this Arkansas offense has a lot of confidence issues that's been, discussed in the media this week. But that possibility, if you're a Vols fan, let's be honest, it's always in the back of your mind. So let me know what you guys think. Who do you think will win this game? And we'll talk to you on Saturday, baby. Yes! Power Hour, SEC, boom! And tonight, we are doing burgers. Prime rib burgers. Let's go.